Episode 38, Successful Sleeping.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Sorry for that. I just couldn't be bothered to not do a remark like that. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, Personal Supremacy Through Health, Wealth, and Happiness. Now, today we're going to be talking about health, and that is sleeping. But not before I have spammed you yet again. If you haven't, please go to our Apple Podcasts homepage, website, thingamajigger, page on the web, where our podcast lives, in Apple's universe at least, and take the 5 seconds to please hit the 5 stars, or take 5 minutes, would be greatly appreciated, to leave a review about the podcast. Reason, as mentioned repeatedly this week, is that we're trying to get to the podcast heaven in the Apple universe, which relies on feedback from the listeners. And hey, that's you, right? So in that sense, please take the 5 seconds, or if you want to be totally generous, take the 5 minutes, so that we will get to the, I don't know what it's called, listen-worthy thing. I forgot, honestly. Now, sorry for that. We're going to be talking about sleeping today. Because for me, at least, sleeping is, I don't know, I have a difficult relationship to sleep, to the concept, in that I do need my sleep, but I don't get it at night normally, because that's when I'm just most productive. I get it over the day in several segments. So can be anywhere between 2 hours to 30 minutes, or, whatever, 6-7 hours, when I'm totally knocked out, to a degree where it just bothers other people because they can't get a hold of me. So a lot of people I've retrained to, not try and call me. I actually, the same thing for my parents. They don't try to call me. They write me, an iMessage, or get in touch via email or whatever, and then I call them back because I know that they're going to be awake. So this whole thing started for me when I did a lot of work internationally, and that comes with a price, because today you're working with somebody in the United States, so they are 6 hours behind, or you work with somebody in Australia, they're going to be 10 hours ahead. And so I tried for a very long time to squish those calls or virtual meetings into the day, and it just bothered me so much that I just gave up on maintaining a normal day schedule. And the reason for that I've mentioned repeatedly on the show. For those of you who've been subscribed from the beginning, sleep is, so vital to recharging your batteries that it doesn't make sense to be tired. Even, let's say your energy level is measured in percent, and your level of energy is down to, let's say, 60%. Your productivity and the risk that you're going to be making mistakes in your work are significantly higher than you would be at 100%. And it's been proven that, look up on Google power nap, the concept's been there for ages, and it works. Just put your head down somewhere, and there's plenty of spaces if you're creative enough to do that, or if you're bold enough, put your head down for 30 minutes, set an alarm clock, wake back up, boom. You're going to be not at 100%, but at 110, simply because the rest that you're getting is so vital. Now, those of you, and that's going to be the majority, who are in the normal world, sorry, don't mean to be condescending there, but who rely and who adhere to the concept of sleeping at night and, being awake the other 18 hours or whatever you're awake, 16 or whatever. There are certain difficulties that a lot of you have to fight with. And one of them that I wanted to start out is really snoring and other sleep disabilities, if you want to call them that. I'm lacking a better name at the moment. Now, snoring is something that I came across within the family, that I came across, with friends, and even a lot of business colleagues that I spoke with in, sooner or later. So if you meet them in the morning, you come to the office at 9 and they're sitting there with, rings under their eyes every day. You know that there's something wrong, that they're not getting enough sleep, right? Could be another health condition, but the likelihood that they're not getting enough sleep is rather high. And you know that you have to be careful with them because they're going to fuck up during the day, right? Those are the indicators. So you want someone that has a healthy sleep behavior, unlike me, but we'll get to that later. Now, snoring is something you have to take very, very, very seriously. And I know this from my family, where one person was snoring significantly with the disbenefit of actually having moments during the night where their breath just entirely stopped. There's a technical term for it, a medical term, I forgot it. Long story short, this person was then taken into a sleep lab. I never heard of anything like that. And to make a very long story very short, this person, their personality had turned 180 degrees. While they would normally have come home, sat on the couch, and just fell asleep till dinner, had dinner, went back on the couch, fell asleep. Then it was time to go to bed, to change from the couch to bed. And anyhow, the sleep process was, or the amount of time required to get at least a decent amount of sleep, was so significant that it was the other way around. They didn't have 16 hours of uptime and productive time. They had 8. That was the work day. They had to be awake. And other than that, they were just, okay, I'm on the couch, I'm sleeping. I'm in bed, I'm sleeping. I'm sitting somewhere in the sun, I'm sleeping. I'm having a coffee, I'm falling asleep over it. And these people tend to make a lot of mistakes. Now, if you take the snoring out of the equation, and there are medical procedures, for one, there are less comfortable things like anti-snoring devices, which support people to suppress the snoring. And if you are one of these, have it checked, because your life is just going to be totally fucking different after you take the snoring bit out of the equation. And another thing, and there are countless things which, medical things, it's like grinding teeth and restless leg syndrome, and all of these things which are sleep related and which keep you from getting quality sleep. Now, if you reach a level where you can get 6-7 hours of really, really quality sleep, you're going to be a totally different human being after after achieving that. And that's insanely important. Now, let's get to the successful bit, shall we? We've had the physical health conditions, because we also have to look at the mental inhibitations of that can, or mental, no, it's not a disorder, but mental things, psychological things, sorry, which can keep you from getting your healthy or your required sleep. And that's another very important and interesting aspect, a lot of which can be solved with small adjustments and procedures to get stuff out of your head. A few years ago, I was talking to a distant neighbor, and she said, "Well, I'm having trouble falling asleep." And I just, we got into a conversation. I said, "Why? What's your issue?" And she was like, "Well, I've got so much stuff on my head that, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I?" And there's just so much running through my head that I don't know, and it constantly keeps on popping up because I can't forget it. And I was like, "Well, why don't you just take a notebook, put it beside your bed, get yourself a pen, and write down what you are, what you can't forget, and all of the thoughts that you have, kind of like not a dream journal, because it's not a dream. It's like a to-do list that you put beside your bed where you just fuck all the stuff into, and the next morning you wake up, you can make sure that you've not forgotten it, unless your house burned down during the night and you're dead. But it's such a simple solution for something like that. And for other people, it's really more about fears of the future and the uncertainty, especially in these times. And these can really easily be defeated by, I don't know, just being a bit more humble. And that's what a lot of people have mislearned, because their sleepless nights mainly revolve around how can they maintain their life status. And they're running and chugging and working and hustling and whatnot, because they have this state, this status in life where they just it's just not too much for them. That would be condescending, but you could have a much more comfortable life if you downsized a bit, took things a tidbit easier, and you would immediately see that there is really less to worry about if you're not living paycheck to paycheck, but if you have a comfortable cushion of money to support yourself, so that if you go bankrupt or if you get fired from your job, you don't really fucking care, because you've got this financial pillow that will catch you. And that's just impossible if you're living paycheck to paycheck. And most of the people that live this lifestyle are, the upper middle class, where, you have to have a huge house to impress people, and you've got to have 2 cars at least, and they have to be brand spanking new and have to have all the bells and whistles. And not my lifestyle. If it's yours, who am I to judge? But contemplate about whether or not a different lifestyle would be similarly satisfactory to yourself. That being said, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Sleep-wise, I've repeatedly mentioned sleep is insanely important. Don't neglect it. Like I said, it's like a motivating thing. We had an episode about that a while ago, where I quoted the Dalai Lama in the motivational morning wake up call, or something like that was what it's called. And that's another very important aspect. Have a notebook ready to take care of those things spooking around in your head during the night. And for the health issues, really do contact a physician, a sleep specialist, to go to one of these sleep labs and figure out if your sleep pattern can be improved, or if there's anything, medically relevant that can be tweaked and tuned to get you to that sleep level. In that sense, I wish you a very successful day. And If you've already had it, as always, I wish you a good night with successful sleep, obviously. And tomorrow is going to be another interesting episode. I've really decided there's 3 which I have in the in the funnel. One of them is going to be more interesting than the other, as per my personal determination. If you have feedback, positive or otherwise, ideas for the show, please write them to the very best podcast in the world at gmail.com. The same goes for my idea on taking on interview partners on different topics from around the world. Do let me know your thoughts on that. And if you've got interesting people in your network that need to be heard, please feel free to reach out to the same email address. Now, finally, I'm going to shut the fuck up and get out of here, get out of your hair. I shall see you again tomorrow, I hope. Stay safe, stay tuned, peace out.